This is WFYI News Now. It's May 15th, and I'm Abriana Herron. On today's show, why some communities are pushing back against data centers being built in Indiana. Renovations coming to downtown Indy's Graham Edward Martin Park. And Indiana lawmakers push to improve school attendance after absenteeism surged during the pandemic.
I believe it's very positive in terms of supporting schools and really getting the outcomes we want.
Those stories coming up, but first. Concerns were raised during the legislative session that the new state budget could cause the Indiana Historical Society to lose its building. Now, after a compromise with the governor's office, IHS will keep its building and take ownership of the land it sits on. The land was previously owned by the state. The Historical Society owns the downtown Indianapolis building, where its headquarters, museum, and archives are housed. Data centers are buildings that store and process huge amounts of digital information. Experts say Indiana's location, major tax breaks, and relatively cheap land make it attractive for these tech hubs. But as WFYI's Farrah Anderson reports, some communities are pushing back.
Franklin Township sits on the southeast edge of Indianapolis. It's the proposed site of a massive 465-acre data center. The company behind the project is still unknown, but residents are worried. A recent study found data centers are among the top 10 water-using industries in the U.S. They rely on large amounts of water to cool servers. Meredith Sharp runs an herbal skincare business and grows ingredients on her 3-acre property near the site. She's worried the development could worsen flooding and strain the water supply.
This has been something I have worked on my entire life to be out here. It will be destroyed.
Organizers have launched a petition to stop the project, gathering more than 2,000 signatures. I'm Farrah Anderson.
The Department of Metropolitan Development will have a public hearing on the rezoning request Thursday. Indianapolis is renovating a city park, and part of the work includes a green makeover. WFYI's Jill Sheridan reports on the environmental remediation investments slated for Graham Edward Martin Park.
Named for retired Navy lieutenant and longtime Crispus Attucks educator Graham Edward Martin, the park sits along Fall Creek just north of downtown. Record-level city, federal, and philanthropic funds have allowed for improvements to multiple local parks. For this project, the city worked with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, or IDEM, and identified toxins in the soil, including heavy metals. Indy Park's principal planner, Andre Denman, says the Graham Edward Martin Park will get clean soil from other projects.
Basically reusing some of the clean soil that was going to be removed from those projects. They're going to be piled in individual piles, and then once we get the okay from IDEM, we will spread 2 feet coverage on the entire park.
Other improvements at the park include a new playground, trail upgrades, and new multi-use playing fields. I'm Jill Sheridan.
And for our final story today, Indiana lawmakers have been pushing to improve school attendance after absenteeism surged during the pandemic. From WFYI's Education Desk, Dylan Pierce-McCoy reports that schools will soon be required to provide intervention and support when middle and high schoolers have lots of unexcused absences.
A new Indiana law requires schools to intervene when 7th through 12th grade students miss 5 days without an excuse. Schools must hold meetings with parents and create attendance plans. Those attendance plans can include wraparound services and referrals for outside treatment such as counseling. And they can include a description of the disciplinary action the school may take if the student does not meet the attendance requirements. State Rep Bob Baining is the chair of the House Education Committee. The law mirrors requirements the legislature approved last year for intervention to support students in elementary grades. I'm Dylan Pierce-McCoy.
That's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by Drew Daudelin and Zach Bundy, with support from the news team at WFYI and public media journalists across the state. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. Kendall Antron produced our music, and I'm your host, Abriana Herron. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.